Yeah, great. What are the top three things you would tell teachers to be prepared for when teaching online or hybrid?
So my number one thing, and this is one of the, I kind of have these key takeaways in the book of like these ideas, like kind of like the tenets of virtual learning that I bring back over and over again. And one of them is this idea of proximity and how you do not have proximity when it comes to virtual learning. And if you start thinking about the way you
Yes.
teach in face-to-face learning, you leverage that proximity a lot as a teacher. You leverage it from a classroom management perspective, right? If you have a kid that's being disruptive, one of the things that I was taught in my teacher preparation program is go and stand next to that student, right? You've got kids
Yep.
talking to each other while you're trying to explain something, move around the room and stand next to them. Do that proximity. Or I've got a kid that's disengaged. They're supposed to be doing this. They're not doing this. I can go and sit next to that kid, right? Proximity, and we can both look at their workbook or their device, whatever it is they're supposed to be doing, and say, here, we're doing this right now. I have that proximity in my favor. You don't have that. You don't have proximity in your favor with virtual learning. So that's the number one thing that completely changes the game and makes you have to do almost everything differently in terms of the way you approach teaching in a virtual learning environment. So that would be number one. Number two thing I would say for being prepared, relationships, relationships, relationships. And I could say it again and again and again. I think that was one thing that didn't maybe go well for a lot of schools and teachers in spring of 2020 is they tried to just go straight from, hey, we were in school on Friday. And I don't know how it went in other states. I live in Montana. This is how it went in Montana. Friday happens. It was actually state basketball tournament. I know this because my mom lives in Eastern Montana. I live in Western Montana. And she was in Western Montana at the state basketball tournament. And she was driving back through on her way home. And I kept saying, they haven't shut you down yet? Like they're still allowing the state basketball tournament to happen? Like what? And my mom's going, they're not going to shut down. So she actually works at a school, a small school in Montana. They're not going to shut down school, right? Literally like Friday night, Saturday morning, maybe they finally shut down the tournament. And then she drove through, we met with her and we had lunch, I think. And then a few hours later, we got a notice that schools were going to be shut down. Like this was on Sunday. School was not going to happen the next day. So that's what happened, right? So I think a lot of teachers went from Friday, we leave the building thinking we're going to come back Monday. Monday, we don't come back. Yeah. So Monday, we're just going to jump back into our normal routine and try to continue what we're doing without building those relationships in a virtual environment. It's so important. That is like the major foundation of virtual learning. So I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but to get back to my number two thing is to say, before you can accomplish anything in a virtual learning environment and actually get to learning and meeting your standards, meeting your learning objectives, you have to develop relationships and develop a sense of community in that virtual environment. So that would be number two. Let me think. Number three, what would you tell teachers to be prepared for? Have a digital course home base. I call it that. What that is meaning the place that your students go online, so it's digital, where all of the information from your course can be accessed, right? Mm-hmm. No matter what type of learning environment you're in, whether you're full face-to-face, fully virtual, some type of blended or hybrid model, you have to have that, right? And if you have that, it doesn't matter if a kid gets quarantined or you all of a sudden school closes and you have to shift to virtual learning because everything's there, and creating that routine to make sure students know everything is there and this is where I go to get all information for the course.
Great.